So you have the big question. Should you change the name of your YouTube channel? Well, I'm going to help you make that decision today, so keep watching. We all have this moment in our YouTube journey where we question our YouTube channel's name. And depending on when you started your YouTube channel, how old your YouTube channel is, you may be contemplating if you should either start a brand new YouTube channel with a different name, if you should continue your current YouTube channel with the current name, or if you could keep the channel that you currently have and just change the name of it altogether. So before you do any of this, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And these are questions that I really want you to reflect on, because these are going to help you make your decision in reference to if you need to have a name changed on your YouTube channel. The first question that I have is, how do you want to be announced? So for my channel, I specifically talk to entrepreneurs. So this is more so guided towards you if you are an entrepreneur and you are in the process of building your personal brand on YouTube or just in general. And you plan to, or you already have a business, whether it's online or you plan on having a business in the future, you plan on doing speaking engagements or maybe a podcast or whatever. My question to you is, how do you want to be announced? This is one of the questions that really helped me make my decision when I changed the name of my channel. For those that do not know, that are new to my channel, of course, my name is Lashawnda Smith. Hey girl, hey! If you're new here, if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for returning. And if you don't know, this channel started off as the first year business coach channel. I think it was either the first year coach or the first year business coach. It was something like that. And I had that channel name for about a year. And a year in, I instantly realized I don't want to be announced by the first year business coach. Like, that was the season that I was in, but I wanted to be announced as Lashawnda Smith. That's what I wanted people to know me as. That's how I wanted to be announced if I ever did a speaking engagement. Because what will happen is, if you have a channel name that is something completely different from what your name is that people will know you for that name. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. But depending on how big of a brand that you're trying to build, I knew that all of the big creators that I followed, that I saw do speaking engagements or that I look for on YouTube, I always search for them by name. Always. And half the time when it's a business name, I can't think of anyone that has a business name on YouTube that I consistently subscribe to and keep up with their content. But I can name every single person that I'm a part of their community of by name. And that's the name of their YouTube channel. So that's the very first thing, or very first question I want you to ask yourself. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, are you building a personal brand? If you're building a personal brand around you, then your channel needs to be your name. Okay? That needs to be your name. Your channel needs to change to your name because you are your personal brand. And that goes back to the first thing that I was bringing up about how do you want to be announced. If you want to be announced by your name and have people searching for your name, then I don't understand why you would want to have a different name for your channel. Because yes, you may have a name, like your YouTube channel may be your business name right now. But what if you decide to close down that business? What if something happens a year, 2, maybe 5 years from now, and you no longer want to even be associated with that business? Now you've created your personal brand around that business name, and it won't be as simple as changing your business name YouTube channel to your personal name, because now you've established your community around that name and around that business. So that's why if you're creating a personal brand, one of the big benefits of having a personal brand is that your personal brand allows you to pivot and make changes as your season changes. And I think what happens is when you name your YouTube channel after your business, if your business changes, if your direction changes, if you decide you want to make a pivot, you have to start all the way over. And that's what we don't want to happen. And then that leads me to my third question. Do you have a habit of pivoting? And I'm asking you this because I have a habit of pivoting. I cannot tell you that I am going to stick to something for a long time. The only thing that I can consider myself sticking to for a long time is creating creating content. I've always created some type of video content, whether it was on YouTube, whether it was on Facebook Live, whether it was courses, whatever. I've always been in front of a camera in some type of way. And so you have to ask yourself, do you tend to pivot? If you tend to pivot and this is not your first rodeo, this is not your first business, this is not your first YouTube channel, and you've started stuff that has nothing to do with each other because you tend to pivot based on the season that you're in, then you may not want to name your channel based on the season that you're in. And one thing that never changes is your name. Your name will always be the same. Maybe if you get married, the last name might change, but for the most part, your name is going to be the same. And one thing that I love about using your name for your YouTube channel is that if you pivot, your community is there for you. They're not there for the business name that you named your channel after. They're there for you, your name. And so they will allow you, or it will be a lot easier for you to make pivots whenever you're in different seasons of your life, versus having to try to start all the way over or trying to convert your audience to understand like, oh, now I'm going to do this, and it's something completely different from what you were doing. So if you have a habit of pivoting, you definitely might want to change your name of your channel if it is not currently your personal name. And then that brings me to the last question. Do you want to be known by your business, or do you want to be known by your personal name? And I want to go a little deeper with this. Because when you think about the online space, obviously when you use your name, you're putting yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, people crazy, and you might, for personal and legal reasons or whatever, just not feel comfortable using your full name on a platform like this. And if that is the case, I completely get it. I completely understand. You might not want to have your government name out here in these streets. Okay? But I want you to look at the bigger picture. I want you to look at the Oprah Winfrey. I want you to look at the Tony Robbins. I want you to look at all of the different people who have a brand under their personal name. There's a way around, like, if you really, really don't feel comfortable sharing your name in public or sharing your name on a public platform, you can work towards getting certain things privated so that people can't access your personal, the personal details of your life. Okay, but do you want to be known for your business, or do you want to be known for you, the brand? Like, whatever your name is. Like, I'm Lashawnda Smith. I'm just going to use me. Do I want to be known as Lashawnda Smith when people come up to me on the street and say, "Oh my God, I subscribe to your channel. You're blank." If you don't use your name, what are they going to respond to you and say? Are they going to say, "Oh my God, you're the owner of blank"? If that's what you want, then that's great. But if you want people to come up to you and be like, "Oh my God, I heard you on so-and-so's podcast. I follow you on blank." Do you want them to say your name? Do you want your name to be the thing that people remember? Do you want your name to be the thing that people search for in the search bar? I know for me, I wanted it to be my name. Regardless of whether I continue to do photography, which I'm not doing photography now, regardless of whether I continue to create planners, because I also have a planner business. What if that season ends? I don't know if that season is going to last forever. If I would have named this channel after my brand planner company, I don't even talk about planners like that over here. I talk about YouTube and stuff. And if I would have continued to have the name The First Year Coach, because some people have like a phrase or something, like if you think about Erin on Demand. So Erin on Demand is actually a really good example of she's using her name, but she's also using a part of her business, the brand, On Demand. So she's not using her first and last name, but you still are going to come up to her and know that her name is Erin. You know what I'm saying? So you just want to think about those things whenever you are considering changing the name of your channel. Let me know what channel your name is currently and what you're thinking about changing it to, and if this video helped you at all. And I just want to end with this. So whenever you're building a community online, your community will pivot with you when you have a personal brand. And it's a lot easier for them to pivot with you when you use your name versus if you use a business name, because normally when you use a business name, you're kind of stuck into what that type of business is, versus if you were to just have a personal name on there and then you decide to move from real estate to cooking, for example. I know that's like an extreme example, but if you've already built a name off of you or built a brand off of you, and they followed your real estate journey, and now you're like, you know what, I don't want to do real estate anymore. I actually really have a passion for cooking. Those people that you have built a community around, they will stick with you. Another perfect example is Catherine Manning. Catherine Manning started her channel. She started doing YouTube videos on blogging tips and Pinterest tips. And then eventually she started doing YouTube tips, and she didn't really like it like that. She didn't like the brand that she had built. Luckily, she changed her name from the Content Bug to Catherine Manning, and then eventually she pivoted. And it was easier for her to make that pivot because she had already built a community around her name. So people already fell in love with the channel because of her, not because of just the YouTube tips. Now, some people fell off of her community that only was there for the YouTube tips, but a lot of her people still stayed there. Versus if she would have stayed the content bug and she would have went from being the content bug to not wanting to talk about content at all anymore and only wanting to vlog, that might have been a harder pivot because people were literally there to get tips about content. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to think about, but I'm going to let you go from here. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.